Our first couple of questions will cover public participation and representation in policy decisions. Candidates, please try to limit your responses to a couple of minutes, but we'll be a little loose with that. In the interest of time, I may cut you off if it seems to go too long, though. Mayor Taylor recently said very publicly that she was opposed to state plans regarding the Oregon State Hospital. And she said that she felt the city of Salem had been left out of the decision-making process. On the other hand, many in Salem have complained that they feel left out by decisions that she has made. Mr. Chapman, you mentioned in your opening statement something about voices being heard. How would you address those concerns if you were elected mayor?
These are the broader concerns, not the state hospital kinds of issues.
Exactly.
I think the key issue is to be open to other people, to encourage other comments, to respect those decisions, those comments that are offered. I think oftentimes, I think one of my strengths is that I just like to deal collaboratively, and I like to hear points of view, and I'm perfectly willing to offer my opinion, but I want it recognized as my opinion, one among many. I want to hear others, and I think if other people feel like their opinions and their ideas are valued, they will be more willing to share them, and we will come to a better agreement about the directions that we ought to head.
Okay, I'd like to follow that up. Do you have any specific plans in mind if you were elected mayor?
Well, for instance, at the neighborhood associations now, they often focus on things that come down from the city, reviewing plans of all sorts that come down from the city. I'd like to see that come up from the neighborhoods more and find a structure where the neighborhoods could identify the problem themselves, take it to the council, and really be a real active participant in identifying what the problems are, as well as having, voting in a forum of some kind on some proposal coming down from council.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to open this question up to the candidates for city council as well. Mrs. Dickey, is the community adequately heard on important policy decisions, and what can be done to ensure greater public participation?
I would say that I see a lot of cynicism. As I've been out, we were in the back, we were talking about collecting signatures for, to file, to run, and I met so many neighbors of mine who are not even registered to vote, and just, came up upon a lot of cynicism. So I would really like to see some sort of public education to help people understand that they can make a difference. I think that there are important issues that come before city government that neighbors and residents, maybe they don't feel like they have a voice, and if they could realize that if they band together, they would be heard, I think that we'd see a lot more public participation.
Councilor Bennett?
Well, a couple of things. I don't know how many of you visited City Hall and come to a city council meeting, and I don't want you to think I'm measuring the place to change the drapes, okay? But that is, in my mind, is one of the worst designs for public participation. If you come to I'm more used maybe to even this kind of a forum where I can at least look you in the eye, and as I say something, I can see you respond. Well, in the city council chambers, that's almost impossible. We're sitting down in a well, and I think that alone is somewhat dividing between public, and I've testified in front of council. I find it intimidating, and that's what I do for a living. So it is not the most comfortable place to go talk with your elected officials. I served as the chairman of the city's revenue task force a number of years ago, and we were looking at the entire revenue situation in Salem, because Salem then, as now, was facing shortfalls in its revenue, so that its budget just couldn't quite meet the demands of the public. Well, the one thing we did that I thought, and this was a very large committee, this was a committee in excess of 20 people, we took that out into the neighborhoods. We held meetings, and I don't know if any of you attended them, but we held them throughout the city. We didn't hold them at City Hall. We held some of our task force meetings, but we went out, and I thought, effectively in that outreach, at least heard what people were thinking about in terms of the financing of their city. I served on the Planning Commission, as was mentioned. I am absolutely convinced that having that Planning Commission sit in the same well, in the same configuration as the City Council, is one of the poorer ideas of public participation I've seen. Why we don't have that Planning Commission out in the neighborhoods taking testimony face to face with the public is somewhat beyond me, and I hope that in the next couple of years, as we rewrite the city zone code, which is going to be an amazingly interesting opportunity for the public to really affect growth and development in the city of Salem, we will get out of City Hall and go out into at least the regions, if not the neighborhoods of the city. I guess finally, on a personal level as a councilman, it isn't just waiting for people to call you in the morning or at night to tell you what they think, because usually that's not a call that is fully thought out. It's usually about a problem. You have to get out of your council seat and you have to go to your neighborhood, at least to your neighborhood organizations and other community organizations, and just listen and make yourself available to hear what's going on in the neighborhoods. It's an outreach. It isn't a come to me. It's an I'm out there trying to find out. And I think that's important for anyone looking at the city council. You just can't wait for those phone calls, because all you're going to hear is trouble. And you don't get to hear about opportunities and satisfaction and those other kinds of attitudes that really make Salem, I think, as rich as it is. There's a lot more ideas than there's problems in town. So I would recommend that, I think, as some of the approaches.